Ta-da! Welcome to Joseph Hi-Fi in my pursuit for sumptuous sound. Getting a bit romantic now, aren't we? We've dimmed the lights off, and just like I said before, my first incarnation with VU meters was I was a little kid, single digits, sitting on the carpet, looking at my Uncle Eddie's hi-fi stereo VCR through the cabinet. Well, haven't we come a long way? But it seems fitting that I'm sitting on the carpet again, doesn't it? And that's kind of the thing. It's warm, it's cozy. Sometimes it's nice just to watch the lights at the end of the day. But we're talking about the VU meters in this episode, and a little bit about the future as well. So, needless to say, what we've got here, I've got the Pioneer running. Quick bit of music.
Sweet melody, you won't let me be.
Happy days. Right, so because of YouTube laws, we won't carry on, but we'll leave it playing anyway to get the demonstration. So what have we got here exactly? Well, first of all of the analyzers we've just got set up at the moment for outputting the signal out. For example, we've got EQ unit here and EQ unit here. It's not looping back out. We're not sending anything back. Again, I like to keep it simple in the signal chain. So at the end of the day, the only EQing I'm really worried about is simply worrying about bass and treble that I have on the receiver itself. By all means, it is all functioning. We could do it. I just often find complicating the signal chain is complication, isn't it, at the end of the day? So let's not do any of that. But let's have a quick chat about what we've got here. Techmoan obviously is a great YouTube person to follow who has reviewed, built, and done a whole lot of videos with some tremendous spectrum analyzers, and I highly recommend you have a look, including one of the Akai models that he has, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But let's kick off, shall we? Okay, so we've got some music playing now, as you can see, bumping up and down on the meters there at the moment. I got sick of the trash I was finding on YouTube to demonstrate this, so I just gave up, found a song on my wife's phone and sent it there. So needless to say, we come down the CD player, which was on AirPlay, or still says AirPlay. Pump Up the Jam. Wow, that's a 90s banger. That goes without saying. So we move down to the first one here. We've got the ADC. This is the SS450X. SS stands for Sound Shaper. That's a part of the series they did. This one out of all the EQs is the one that stands out the most to me. So we have a full 20 band graphic equalizer, but that's 10 bands per channel. Now you'll see I've got one segment of red LEDs not jumping up in that there. There was the other one, I'm sure of it when I got it. I've checked the cabling, but of course this is vintage equipment. We can often have some issues, but it's still not detracting anything away from that real-time analyzer that's working perfectly there, so not losing any sleep on that. Next, we're going to work our way down to the Technical Pro. This is the DB30. It's rubbish. It's got a USB port for charging. I figured if someone wanted to plug their phone or MP3 player in, at least they can charge it while it's going. What do you expect? It's $20, $30 on Amazon or what have you. Now, look, I don't mind it. It ticks the boxes because I wanted that sort of blue, green, red type of look in there. The LEDs are very bright, and I hate this thing, but in a good way. It'll get replaced, I'm sure. Now, we also have a few options here if we just swing around. And I'll just zoom out for a minute. We'll push the mode button. Let's jump. Obviously, we can have it in a dot mode. Let's just jump out into an auto mode. Now, in this so-called auto mode, it's supposed to cycle through a few different versions of what's happening here. Either way, it's a bit of a snooze fest for me. I'm truthfully not that interested, so I think it'll go without saying. Let's just throw the bars back on. And great, I suppose the best feature is, look at this, on, off. Isn't that brilliant? We can kill it any time. Obviously, it's got gain adjustments there to sort of get exactly where you need. Another thing is obviously the build quality, as you expect, coming from something better to this. You can see just above the power switch there's a little bit of white, like a bit of plastic or something that in the packaging or what have you. it is there. Now, we come down to the Oasis. Now, this is the DEQ 230D. Now, the D means everything. I have the 230. These are great EQs, especially in the Pro Sound. It's worth having one in your case if you're doing a bit of sound engineering or a front of house for an organisation or something when I'm not DJing. Of course, with the DEQ 230, that's it. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. I mean, we can still sweep down to some preset EQ levels here. If we need to take some bass out or what have you. We can also go into each individual frequency that's available to us, and we can plus or minus accordingly. So, of course, it's always great to whip through them all and find your sweet spot. Again, it's not wired up for the return here. I really don't need the complications. I just have it here strictly for seeing the music. Now, that's the thing with the D model. It's the two buttons here that'll activate our real-time analyzer. And to see the music, wow, can you just imagine that? Holy moly, it's worth its weight in gold, particularly considering what I had to pay to get that. Now, as a future upgrade, the Samson D1500 would be a nice little asset to get. Might be a bit cumbersome to see in the home hi-fi. This sort of ticks the boxes of just, you know, fitting in perfectly. The other thing is I'm on the hunt for a DBX RTA one. Dave Rat has a video of that in action, and one quick see of that and you'll see why. Now, the other thing is you can actually jump into the system and come in and actually, not just where I turned on the RTA, there are actually other button combinations to adjust the gain and adjust some other pro type of settings accordingly. But at the end of the day, we're just looking at it for the eye candy. Then we pop down here to a critical piece I really want. Again, this is more pro application than it is home, but Dura, these meters have been the industry benchmark for years. There's no doubt about it. They're absolutely outstanding. A lot of people use them for, I mean, obviously this is relative loudness to peak modulation meter. A lot of front of house will have it to keep an overall spectrum on the front of house gain structure to the crowd. So I'll also be monitoring the SPL to the crowd as well. But there are a whole bunch of additional programming parameters that can be adjusted for its particular usage. Again, this is eye candy. That's all I want it for. It's an important piece to have in the setup. It's an imperative name I want to see there. Hey, made in the USA. You know it must be good stuff. Hip hip hooray, USA. Needless to say, it is the Dura 120B. An absolutely stunning piece of kit to be picked up. The final meters here are just from the voltage regulator, 240 volts. Of course, we are in Australia, and the current, which is obviously quite minimal because we really don't have much going on in the sense of drawing current. We don't actually have the audio cranked up and running. But needless to say, though, that's the system, and they're the meters. Well, here we are now. And now it's time to conclude where we are and have a quick discussion about the future. Don't get me wrong, there are still going to be videos that I'll still be making. That's why I've numbered them. We'll talk about music, we'll talk about the test tracks that I like to sort of compare A and B with a system. We'll talk about, obviously we're waiting on the stylus, so we've got to get that happening. And there's going to be a range of different things we're going to be discussing. Of course, the next video is all about the antenna, and there's still more to say, but I just wanted to let you know that I've got to get busy with some other projects at the moment, so if it might be a week or a few months before I've actually put something new to do with the hi-fi, not to stress. I will get back to it eventually as things allow, so I just want to keep you posted on that. I'm not going to just disappear and leave you, but I did work hard to put this series of videos together so that I was going to sort of release 1 week at a time, but it's just not practical in my situation to be doing that. So I'm going to slap them all up in one hit so people don't have to wait. They can just binge watch the whole series of these if that's something you may wish to do. Otherwise, not to worry. There's still going to be a whole lot more we're going to be covering in audio as the future carries on. But in respect to the future, I guess a few key things. I'm particularly happy with the amplifier. I suppose if we were to look at any realistic time frame of priorities that would happen next, it's going to be, aside from the style that's happening with the turntable, it will be the speakers. That's going to be probably the first thing. Moving on from there, we will probably need to get the amplifier, just get a little bit freshened up and all the rest of it. Needs a jolly good service for a machine at this age. It is working absolutely perfectly, but I think you'll all agree that's probably going to be just give it a bit of love so it'll keep serving us for many years to come. Additional turntable, yes, of course, let's get this rig complete. Power supply. Again, voltage converters I use all the time. I absolutely love them. You flick them on, away they go. With the power conditioners though, as we sort of have spikes and peaks, there's obviously a little bit of an adjustment you can hear that happens. Now again, if the music's playing, it's really not hearing it, but I'm very fussy about when something is quiet, I want it to be quiet. So when I hear the little micro adjustments that are happening, again, I hear them and we haven't got any music on, so it's a little frustrating. Again, I would like to slide that Kukuzi in there and really just get the sound absolutely dead set, digitally set at the 240 volts or what have you. Again, there's still plenty of room in the cupboard for more records. As I said, the key ones I have, and we'll talk about records of course another day, that goes without saying. Seeing a cassette deck, I am busy at trying to restore as much audio content of original material that I have while I still have it and it deteriorates, so that's working on other projects. That goes with VHS tapes as well, so there's plenty for me to be doing. But I'm for the most part quite happy. Cassette decks can be a bit hit and miss on the second-hand market. They're always going to need a service and all the rest, and it is maintenance, and am I really using it enough? But cassettes are wonderful. I mean, that was my life at the end of the day when I was young, prior to having all the CD and all the rest of things that eventually did evolve. But it's been an absolute pleasure to share at least this with you at the moment. There's always going to be future upgrades. I've made the design of the hi-fi cabinet to be changed, for things to grow and be enhanced as we carry on, and simply to enjoy it. But speakers, well, we've got to keep the wife happy now. She who must be obeyed. So needless to say, that's where we're going to wrap it up now. So if you'd like to stick by for the next one, it's all about the antenna. As I said, there's not just some little AM loop antenna hanging out the back of that, or a little piece of wire for the FM. There's a little bit more going on, and hope you enjoy that in the next video. Thanks again.